When one gazes upon an icon, one in particular of Christ, the Almighty Teacher and Redeemer of the universe, He is teaching. He has the Gospel, and He is blessing and absolving and saving. And He is presented as the being one, her own, the one who is. He reigns. He was, He is, and ever will be, as is present in each doxology that we have. We are before being. The being that called us forth, for the same word that uttered, "Let there be light," said at our sparking, "Let there be a soul." How childish it is for a human being then to push away its creator as it might do its parents, and to say, "What need have I of you?" And yet it is the pattern of life, is it not? We exist, we behave, actually sometimes, if we're honest, in the monastic life, as though God did not exist. We behave in church as though we were there for our own ends. God is God, and we are the receiving end of all, even one breath. What happened at the moment of the Incarnation is not entirely comprehensible for our brain. It took about 4 centuries to work out the dynamics of the Incarnation through church councils and church fathers, and even now we do not fully understand the role of the soul of Christ, the will of Christ, the mind of Christ, how this hypostatic union ever took place and could be, and what are its implications for the being of Christ while on earth. What happened when Christ, for instance, was in prayer? It goes beyond fathoming. And so too does the word of command at the consecration. What is going on? That same incarnation in a mystical way is being renewed. And so when we hear again the gospel of what is essentially the beginning and end, in the beginning was the Word, and then the fullness coming through Jesus Christ, when we hear that again on this day, we think of all the times in history that it has been heard. All the low masses, all the celebrations of Christmas, the last gospel, heard and reheard throughout the centuries where Christmas was taking place, not only on the 25th of December, but at each celebration. And so it is that the power of the Incarnation and all that is in its thrust, the saving of man, the redemption of man, the shedding of blood for the redemption of man, has been taking place on this planet all through time and all through history, all through geography and right over the planet, and still to this day. For the consecration is the intertwining of powers and dimensions that we cannot possibly fathom. This is our church, and how profoundly different, therefore, is the faith and life of the one true church from anything that has come from it. That is what eventually one realizes when one is trying to wrestle with only Scripture. Scripture does not come from the moon, it comes from the church and is interpreted only by it, safely and in context. And we know precisely from the church, from the fathers of the church, from the life of the church, what the Lord meant. Each pontifex in the Protestant situation will interpret it his own way. It cannot be safe. Nor can be safe our own reinterpretation in modern times, even within the parameters of our church. We have not grown up like big children going into adolescence as though we know better than those who have gone before us. They were humble and they listened, and in that they were taught, Docibiles Dei, teachable by God. With regard to the word, it does actually come to us more easily when we're in that mode. Alas, much of the power, the explosive power of the consecration and what is going on at the Holy Mass does not have its full effect because of the barrage of activism that surrounds it now. The Lord is more free to teach when he finds quiet, awaiting souls, similar to those who were waiting for Zechariah to come out of the temple. They were on their knees in prayer. There was something going on there. There are times when the priest stands alone before his God, not before men, but before his God. And that is the way to bring the people into encounter with God. Sir, we wish to see the Lord, not you. As Pope Benedict insisted, the art of celebrating is to be learned. Ars celebrandi, the art of being a mystagogue. In Selignac, the Carthusian monastery where I was for years, there was a holy monk, Dom Martin. He apparently, every time he celebrated, would be almost visibly in communion with the angels. There was an ecstatic look upon his face. The Carthusian rite still has the canon in silence, and after the consecration of the host, all fall on their faces in choir. That is how man stands. He doesn't stand at all. He goes on all fours, like the adoring angels, when God says, I am.